All right, welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. I'm Matt Hopkins, sitting in for Ben Steger today. Today we have Shay on, and we also have Tim Myers sitting in today.
Howdy.
All right, so our special guest today is Shay. Shay's here to talk to us about 2011s,
Mainly
sponsorships,
2011s, yes.
mainly 2011s, and all the different info on 2011s. So if no one knows who Shay is, let the people know, Shay.
Pretty well known now.
Yeah, well, so you run your own business, Akai Custom Guns, right?
Yes, sir.
That's out of Florida.
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida, okay. So some of the things that you do special compared to everybody else is like you stroke your guns, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that sounds really, really dirty. Basically, stroking is increasing the length of travel on the gun, the stroke of the gun. What we do is we move the strike point, the point where the reverse plug channel stops, and we move it back a little bit to increase the travel of the slide. A bunch of advantages to it. It works really well. People love it. It shoots really well, and the guns are doing really well. Winning matches, and that's what we try to do. We try to make guns that will win matches.
All right, so great success with that. Who's notable guys that are using that right now?
Just at the Nationals, we had two top 10 finishers. We had Lesgar Murdoch and Cody Baker. Cody Baker's not even one of our sponsored shooters. He basically bought one of our guns, and he's doing really well with it. We also, Nick Helbert got top military with a stroke gun. Basically every weekend somebody's winning a match with a stroke gun. It's pretty neat. Kyle Riojas, Scott Thompson. Shane Coley was shooting a stroke gun, and he almost won the world shoot with a stroke gun. He came in at 99.9921%. He was a point and a half away from world championship on a 2,300 point match. So yeah, it works pretty well. Those guys are tremendous shooters. Don't get me wrong, but tools help. Tools help a little bit.
I mean, if someone shooting with a high point, it's gonna be different compared to like a shotgun.
Exactly. You got to have the basic tools.
Yeah. So you talked about your shooters. Like, did you want to talk about sponsoring shooters or anything at this point? Like you said.
We can come back to the whole 2011 design, a little bit later. But as far as sponsored shooters, we have a great team. We have a tremendous team, and I love every single one of them. Great bunch of guys. We have one girl. And they're all friends of mine. They're all really cool people that I like to hang out with, and when we go to matches, we hang out together. So, that's the reason why they're sponsored shooters, and they love the guns. They shoot the guns really, really well. They represent us really, really well, and great ambassadors. It gets our name out there, and people can see the guns. Even matches that we are not sponsoring, we can't come to. We have some of our shooters there that will be more than happy to let someone play with their guns.
Awesome. So you would probably say it's more about how they interact with people compared to how they shoot at the match.
Well, absolutely, and that's one thing. We don't really do the hired guns. We're not really hunting for the guys that are going to win. Our guys just so happen to do extremely well. How you doing, Tim?
Hey, Shay.
Tim Aaron
So our guys do extremely well, but we don't expect them to sell guns. We don't expect them to spam. We don't expect them to come on Facebook and sing our praises or anything along those lines. We just expect them to be cool people, approachable people, people that people want to talk to, and represent us well.
Awesome. So it's kind of like a difference than what you hear about is somebody's getting a ride to be a sponsored shooter to go out there and win matches. You like to think of it differently than that?
Yeah, because you can win matches but not be approachable. You can win matches and not be very well known. And it's happened to us before. We sponsored people that were incredible shooters, but nobody knew who they were. And to me, it's personality. You know, it's whether you have the personality to be well known, and you don't have to be the world's greatest shooter as long as your videos are great and you interact with people and you're nice to people. There's something unique about you. You're approachable, honest. Then yeah, you're going to be all over the place. People are going to love you.
I like how you mentioned videos there. You see a social media side of this as important?
Extremely important. I mean, you know, frankly, Facebook is a huge marketing arm for us. We do a lot of customer service through Facebook. We do a lot of sales through Facebook, and of course, a lot of marketing through videos and so on. People want to see. People want to see what. People want to see the guns. People want to see the shooters. People want to see how they work. People want to see the how-to video. And you know, it's really funny that as far as Facebook is concerned. When we post pretty pictures on Facebook, we don't get as many hits. When we post raw, off-the-machine pictures, the how-to process, the do-it-yourself kind of pictures, is when we get the most action. And it's the same thing with our shooters. They don't have to, not necessarily when they win, but when they show a great video of them doing something special. You know, for example, Speedy, Lesgar Murdoch, did a video from a monster match a couple years back where he was wearing a Superman outfit and he was doing the treadmill.
That was pretty memorable.
I think we got something like.
Yep.
I think that video got shared about 1,000 times. It was just unbelievable. It's as if he had boobs.
That helps.
And so you sponsor also some 3-gun guys also, right?
Yes. I sponsored some tremendous 3-gun guys. You know, Keith Garcia, of course. Keith Garcia has been with me before even Akai. I mean, before I even did anything. Tremendous guy, tremendous shooter, also a great personality. He wins, yes, he wins a lot, but more than that, he's very approachable. He's on Facebook. He's posting videos of not just 3-gun shooting, but instructional videos and so on. That helps a lot.
He seems to have a great, just professional persona about him too, though. So I mean, he carries himself very highly in like all circles of shooting. So that he's a definite asset, I would believe.
Anybody, the pistol shooters that don't know him, he's a top 10 dude in nationals if you ever shot pistols. So.
He seems pretty personable too. I think his personality comes across pretty well on videos.
And he's extremely knowledgeable. And as far as training is concerned, you know, if you ever listen to him talk about his training, it's extremely cerebral. He's quite when it comes to training.
Awesome. Any difference between a pistol-only competitor and a 3-gun?
Yeah, the money. yeah. You know, it's really funny because we have a pistol team, and you know, we try to get sponsors for the pistol team, and this bullet manufacturer or this shirt manufacturer. Hey, we'll sponsor your team, and we'll give you $120 per shooter or something like that. You know, some BS number, and you know, really, frankly, no thanks. You know, that's not enough for us to take a sponsorship. But we started the 3-gun team, and we had a bunch of guys, you know, great shooters, local guys, and as soon as we started the team, we got sponsored by Vortex, and Vortex sent every single one of the guys a $1,400 scope, and you know, free ammo, and it just sponsorship out of nowhere for not being very well known, and it doesn't exist in the pistol world.
Yeah, that's a big difference for sure between the pistols and the 3-gun guys. Is that level of sponsorship seems so different. I mean, obviously they're shooting 3 guns and there's a lot more gear to put on, but it seems to come a lot easier for the 3-gun guys.
Yeah, it does come a lot easier. It's the maybe it's the industry, maybe it's the fact that they hit into mainstream a lot more than we have, you know. Maybe it's just the amount of money that these large companies have. But then again, I mean, we have SIG, we have Glock, we have you know, Taurus, which are fairly sizable companies, but they won't sponsor pistol matches as much as they'll sponsor 3-gun matches. What was it? Para, you know, huge pistol company, And the Three Gun Nationals, the top 10 guy, the guy who came in top 10, got a free great pair of pistol. But if you look at the U.S. Nationals and USPSA, does the top 10 guy get a free pistol from Para? No. And I'm not really sure why that is. It sucks.
It's a definite interesting question. How it could be that Three Gun's the new thing. It's more popular now.
It's got TV coverage.
True. I mean,
It's got its own magazine too, right?
That's true. Well, that's one sport. But Three Gun in general, I think, just has a lot more coverage and seems like the it thing to do. Like, if you're going to get into action shooting, that'd be what you want to go to. It's the cool thing.
I know guys that actually do Three Gun as a second job because they win matches or they place in a match and they win enough free stuff to sell it and make a living. You know, make it's a second job. You know, you get an upper full rifle, you get a full rifle, you get ammo or a box of mags or you know, I've seen guys get 100 mag pull mags, and they sell it. And you know, if you go to a match every month, you do pretty well.
Yeah, not bad. You got any questions on that, Tim?
Tim Herron or Tim Meyer? Tim
Herron.
Oh, no. I mean, it's just kind of listening in and trying to catch up with everything. I mean, it's I can definitely see the draw to Three Gun, especially just because of the fact that it is televised. There's a lot more media backing behind Three Gun. I wish the same could be said for handgun stuff, though. I really do.
I think we're too much of a Yahoo. I think we're too much, you know, power factor. You know, if you shoot major, you get better points. If you hit center mass, if you shoot 9mm, well, you know, it's not as effective. I think that's a drawback to our sport. You know, I don't think any TV station wants to get behind that. And I think that's where Three Gun did really well, is they went away from the power factor.
You think, so just to hit on that a little bit, you think because we're scoring like it's more real life or...
And the targets.
Target?
Yeah.
Right.
You really think that?
Yeah. I mean, we're shooting people.
I think power factor kind of makes it, it turns it back into something tactical versus practical, or practical versus just sport. Whereas Three Gun, I mean, everybody kind of knows you're playing the game. It's sport. You know, you got the coolest equipment to be able to poke 2 holes in paper as fast as possible. So, you know, I think that's kind of thing to go for. Plus the targets themselves, you know, are just, you know, round red circles, or they're falling steel, or they're clay pigeons, or, you know what I mean? So
yeah. It's a lot more interactive versus, I mean, you know, you see somebody shooting really fast. Did they hit anything? You don't really know if they hit anything, but following steel is great.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
So do you see a lot more business coming from Three Gun for you personally now? Has that gone up a lot or no?
We had a rush of Three Gun pistols for a while, and that's basically all we were doing. We developed a Three Gun pistol quite a bit. We make the 2011. It's not just a bull barrel 9mm Three Gun. You know, we take cart barrels and we sleeve them and we lighten the inside of the slide, and we do ramps for the disconnector and you know, tactical frames, and we do our serrations in a specific way to help them out. And we do instead of a full tri-top, we do a partial tri-top to protect their hands from the sights. We do fixed sights, just quite a bit different for the Three Gun market, and yeah, it worked out really well for us.
Shay, what would be, I mean, right now speaking, what would be probably the primary pistol, a primary, I guess, division of type of pistol or whatnot that you sell or that you tend to build the most? I mean, are they open guns, limited guns, guns for sport, guns for Three Guns, guns for defense, you know, guns for just people to play, or, I mean, do you see more of a trend?
Yeah, another thing.
Yeah, you know, for us, I guess we're very well known for our open guns because, you know, so many of our orders are open guns, and nobody's ordering the bronze, nobody's ordering the silver. People are ordering either the gold or the platinum level, basically, of open guns, as well as with the limited guns. We sell, I think, about 50-50 right now. And even our limited guns, everybody wants the stroked, everybody wants the sleeved barrels, everybody wants the oversized sleeved barrels. Now we're doing tungsten sleeved barrels, we're doing oversized tungsten sleeved barrels, we're doing island barrels, and so on. And yeah, everybody wants the latest and greatest. Everybody wants that edge.
Will you go in a little more depth on that? No one wants the base model gun you have, so you have a standard model gun, right? And
yeah, it's really funny because we've been doing this about 5 years now, and we've always offered for sale a true bore gun, the true bore barrel, and you know, all of our cuts, all of our fit, all of our trigger jobs, everything like that. And I think we've sold maybe 2, maybe 3 over the last few years.
So what's the price point on that?
We're competitive with the Grandmaster or with all the other guys that are doing true bores. I think we got them for around the 3,700, 3,500, 3,700 for an open gun. We've been offering a straight bull barrel compensator, holes on top, standard frame. What everybody's selling right now, we've been offering the same gun all along, and I think we've sold maybe 3. But if we're offering, shortened slide, lightened, hybrid, holes, new compensator, V8, sleeved barrels, or anything like that, those are selling a ton. That's what everybody wants.
What's the price range on one of those?
Our V8 model right now is retailing for $5,600, and people are all over that. You know, people are paying us rush fees and wanting it to right now, and then we just can't keep them in stock, can't keep them on the shelf, and we're way behind on the V8s. And they're great guns because there's quite a bit of development that went into them. I mean, all the way from the stroking to the heavier frame, 3/4 frame, shortened slide, lightened slide, V8 holes, 2 holes on top, our new compensator that's completely different than everything else, and they're working pretty well. We just came up with a V12 now, so trying to do ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite awesome. It's got basically a 1-port comp with a bleeder, with a huge bleeder, and a V12, and the gun runs great, runs tremendous. Speedy at the Nationals was shooting basically a V8, but we remount the inside of the slide. So instead of a normal bull barrel being inside diameter of a slide being a 700, we actually ream it out to 750, and then we take a barrel and we sleeve it with tungsten that's oversized, that's 750. So the barrel ends up weighing as much as the slide.
Wow.
There's that much of an advantage behind it. So you got a very fast cycling slide and a very heavy barrel that stays put with the V holes. The cool thing about the V-holes compared to other guns is the V-holes are like this, and they're out of your line of vision. So the gases go this way, and you can see the target without any kind of problem. I actually had a conversation with Eric Graffel at the World Shoot, and he says, yeah, that's the whole concept behind the Tanfoglio, is that the gases out of the line of sight. And that's extremely important to him because he actually wants to see the target, and the whole concept behind it came from we were trying to make the flattest gun possible. We were working with different compensators trying to make a really flat gun, and here comes this French guy and kicks everybody's butts with a gun that doesn't have a very elaborate compensator to it. And he wins by points. I mean, yeah, he's fast as hell, but he's also, incredibly accurate. And why is he so incredibly accurate? Because the gun tracks 100%. When you have holes that go like this, the gun tracks a lot better. And because he can actually see the target, because the gases, the blowback is out of his line of sight. And that's why we came up with a new compensator as well. You want to hear about that?
Yeah. Go ahead. I want to retouch on the sleeve barrels at some point, though.
Yeah.
Just get
sure, no problem. The whole concept behind our new compensator is that instead of having the gases being vented up in front of your face, they're all vented to the side and back. So it's pulling the gun forward and it's out of your way. The other thing about it is when you have gases that are following the bullet. I think the velocity is something like 44,000 miles per hour, something like that. It's something ridiculous speed. And when they go into it with a twist rate, when they go into the first chamber of the compensator, they're so twisted and it creates absolute chaos. Our new compensator has an expansion chamber. An expansion chamber basically evens them out. So instead of torquing the gun, they actually become even, and then they come out from the side 45 degrees back. Just as an example, we used to have compensators that would come loose because of the torque that the gases put on the compensator. That's basically what makes
the comp, right?
Actually, exactly the opposite. It would actually tighten up the comp.
Oh, okay.
It would not unthread it. The comp would actually become overly tight, and that's because of the twist rate and because of the gases. Now with the new compensator, I can use blue Loctite and it won't move. Just because it evens out the gases inside. Just interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really neat, actually.
Yeah.
Now, on the sleeve barrels, you say, so what's the benefit of having an equal slide and barrel weight? Is it the recoil or what do you get there?
It's reciprocating mass versus stationary mass. If you have a very heavy reciprocating mass and very, very light stationary mass, you have basically a big hammer that swings back and forth. If we have very heavy stationary mass and very light reciprocating mass, it's just a smaller hammer. So which one would you rather have beating against you, a small hammer or a big hammer?
If it's hitting me, I'd rather have a small one.
Well, basically that's what happens every time you shoot.
Awesome. So I think the only other thing we were going to talk about was sponsoring matches.
Yeah, you want to hear more about the...
on that, right?
Yeah, I just want to know what your take is on that. So, do you sponsor matches, and if you do, why do you do it? Right? Are you doing it so you can have a table there? Are you doing it just to support the area you're in? I mean, kind of what's your motivation behind sponsoring and all that?
I'd like to say that I do everything to support everybody, and I do everything for free out of the goodness of my heart because I want to donate my time and my capital for the good of the sport, but that's not 100% true or even close. We do it for sales, and we sponsor matches for sales, and sales come in two different ways. One of them is brand recognition, and two is direct sales. If we have a table at a match, we do a lot of direct sales, and we have a lot of people come in and they touch the guns and they place orders, and we sell guns at the match. But if we sponsor a match and we don't show up, their return is not there because nobody buys a gun because your banner is at the match.
So sometimes I assume that you'll sponsor it maybe so you can get Speedy in a match or whoever you're sponsored, right? Like it's kind of a double, like, they get a slot out of it and you get a banner up and people can associate the two. I mean, is that kind of the motivation also there?
Yeah, but it's not really worth it. You basically pay quadruple the price for a slot if you do that, and it's cheaper for me to just pay for a slot and go shoot the match.
True.
Unfortunately, just sponsoring the match, and I think most match directors forget about the sponsors. They kind of look at the sponsors as they're doing a favor to the sponsors, and I don't think that's right. And I think every single one of you guys. I mean, Matt, you're with CZ. I mean, you guys give out a ton of guns.
Yeah,
a ton of guns at every match, and I don't know what your return on investment is by giving so many guns out.
It's a fine line. It's definitely interesting. Like right now, everybody's preparing for 2016, so every company's like looking at what they got last year, what they're going to put forward for next year. So it's definitely an interesting conversation. And
what about you, Tim? Oh, sorry.
This is my first year of really sponsoring matches. I mean, I think I sponsored one or two last year, and I sponsored a lot more this year. And I agree with you that if you're not there, the return's pretty poor, right? I don't
Yeah.
feel like we get much feedback from match directors. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. I think that unless you have a table there, I don't really see how it's worth it. I mean, it's different for CZUSA than it is for somebody like me or for you, I think.
That's correct. Yeah, and most people forget the expense that we go into. I mean, for example, if you have to shut down, I mean,
Oh,
your shop
yeah.
is online, but if I have to shut down production because we're traveling with guns and I travel Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come back Monday and I can't work because I'm exhausted and I can only work on Tuesday. It's the travel, it's the days that we're shutting down production, shutting down the shop. It's the match sponsorship, and it's the preparation before the match. Getting all the guns prepped and the after effect of cleaning up all the guns and so on that takes so long, and it becomes very, very expensive. So the only matches we actually travel to nowadays are matches that are really close to us. Or matches that we really enjoy. Mississippi Classic, for example, is a match we really enjoy, so we go because of the crawfish more than anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not about the shooting for the whole thing. They have activities for people to do afterwards. So that's one of the big things I always hit on is you want people to stay around, but you don't give them any incentive to do it.
Right.
Well, so how can these matches do a better job of adding value for the sponsors, right? I mean, to make it more worth their while.
I think Mississippi Classic, Steve Roberts and his crew are the absolute perfect example of running a match, because they do the party on Saturday, for example, and everybody gathers under the vendors area, and they're waiting for the coffee to be boiled, which is a fairly local food, and they have a live blues band, which is fairly local music, and they either brew their own beer or they buy kegs and they bake a cake, and they're extremely friendly, and everybody comes and hangs out. And as a vendor, if the whole match comes and hangs out in the vendors area, it's tremendous value for me.
Well, sure, they're bound. Obviously, they want to meet and greet the souls of the company, versus seeing a banner and trying to relate to a company or a product based on just a banner hanging in a stage. It's a huge value to, I would think, not only as looking at it from the sponsor's point of view, but even from a competitor point of view. I'm going to be able to relate a lot more with Shay Akai and Akai Custom Guns if I'm able to kind of rub elbows and share a greasy handshake with you over some crawfish and some blues music or something. You know what I mean?
And the same thing happens on Sunday when they do the awards. Again, everybody gathers under the vendor's tent, and everybody's looking at the guns, and you get to talk to people for a few hours before everything is over.
Right.
If you compare that to other matches where the vendor area is completely detached from the stages, and nobody stops by the vendor area because it's kind of an inconvenience, and the only time people actually come to the tent is during the lunch, and they're busy eating anyway, so we don't get as much traffic. Unless people actually look for us, which is a different story. But as far as advertising, the Mississippi Classic would be the absolute perfect example of local food, a party, vendors area that's convenient for people and so on.
One of the things I think matches should do is so you know how they have like a half-day schedule, right? So you schedule the morning group a break time before lunch, and then that you make them shoot a stage after lunch. So like they shoot from 8 to 11:30, then it's a mandatory break and lunch, and then they shoot another stage. So they're bound to be there. Yeah, this is bad for competitors. It's going to create some extra time there. But you do the same thing with the afternoon. So when the morning is on the break, you have the afternoon people come in and shoot one stage, and then they'll have lunch, and then they'll have the break after lunch when the morning is shooting their final stage. That creates a mandatory time people will have to be on the range. One, it increases lunch sales. I mean, a lot of matches are having problems getting vendors there. So you make people stay there, they're going to have to buy stuff. And then that other break, the mandatory break, is like there's nothing for them to do. They could either look at the stages or they could go to the vendor area. Eventually, people get bored of going to stages and they'll go to the vendor area. So what do you think about that?
I think it's great, but I would hate to inconvenience shooters. I'd like to give them more of a positive reason to come. For example, we used to have cold lemonade on our table, for example, and people would come to the vendor stand just to drink our lemonade and check out the guns. And so it was great. Bathrooms. If you put the vendors area by the bathrooms, it's a really good area. But I've been to ranges where the vendors area is completely detached, all the way to the other end, away from the shooters, away from lunch, and people really have to make a trek over to the vendors area to interact with people. I don't know. I think the whole concept of sponsoring matches has changed over the last few years. The whole internet thing. If somebody wants to buy parts, they Shooter's Connection, Speed Shooter. If somebody wants to buy powder, they go to Powder Valley. It's no longer, hey, I have to go to a match because I need primers,
Yeah, that's a good point. Got anything else, guys?
Well, so here's a question. So how does 3-Gun get these massive prize tables if that's the case, right?
I think it's because it's outside. I'll give you an example. Area 6. We're fairly saturated in Area 6. We're very well known in Area 6. But that's the only area where I can actually travel to in a reasonable amount of time. I can't really travel to Utah because I will have to take too many days off. But in Area 6, whenever you go to a match, let's say, for me as a vendor, there's 300 shooters or there's 400 shooters. Out of them, there's 100 shooters that shoot those plastic guns, and there's shooters that shoot revolver and so on. So my actual crowd is very, very small. But in 3-Gun, it's not just the crowd at the match, but it's the crowd that it's being advertised to. So, if they do TV or if they do videos or anything like that, all of a sudden your reach is so much bigger. If USPSA, if one of the match directors actually televised the whole thing or did videos or live streamed it or created a YouTube channel for a certain match, then our reach would not be just the 200, 300 shooters. It would be the whole population, which would be tremendous. But they're forgetting about that,
Kentucky kind of did that this year.
I was going to say, I thought Tony Pignato did a pretty good job of really trying to kind of market the USPSA brand a lot better with his match this year. And
I love Tony Pignato. And we sponsored that match, and I love Tony Pignato. I think he's incredible at marketing. I think he had some tremendous ideas, and I think he did an incredible job in it. Unfortunately, he's the first one to do it, and I hope he does a lot more matches. And I hope a lot of other people follow him.
I was going to say, I hope a lot of people just follow that lead, because I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot of people have this. Yeah. Not a whole lot of people have this personality, though.
It'll be interesting how they do the TV show about a state match compared to like the nationals level match. So it'll be interesting how they do Shooting USA on that.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he's part of Shooting USA helps, of course. But.
Right.
But he had tremendous ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
The other thing that he did is he did the cashback, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of heavy hitters there. Top dudes went there just to get paid.
Well, the thing was there really a cash was the cash payout completely outlined as like to where the guys knew like what high overall in each division was going to be before you showed up? I mean,
no, there was an estimate.
Like, okay.
It was estimated, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was estimated, and then he basically divided it a certain percentage to high overall, and then every class winner gets a certain amount of money based on how many people were in the division.
That's pretty awesome.
It was a good payback I had. For coming in second, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to talk about is what do you think about shooting or sponsoring shooters versus sponsoring matches? Where do you stand on that?
A match is a one-time thing, and a match, the return on investment. If you outlay straight a match is $1,000, and you just spend the full $1,000 in cash, there's really no return on it. If you do gift certificates, which everybody, of course, doesn't like, there's a much larger return because, first of all, you can do the gift certificates as a discount off of a gun. So somebody has to buy a gun, and therefore you make some money off of it. Or some gift certificates never get cashed. But what we get for doing that is fairly minimal, and it just makes sense for us. Or we can donate product, and of course we donate product that we have the most markup on, so we basically invest the least amount to get the best return on investment. So that's as far as matches. As far as shooters are concerned, it really depends on the shooter, and it's a hit or miss, and we can't really predict that. There's some shooters out there that sell guns like crazy, especially instructors or ammo loaders or something like that. They sell a ton of guns for us. But there's some shooters that are basically, they show up to a match and they shoot and they talk to people, and we don't really see a whole lot of sales out of them. If I can give any kind of advice to somebody who wants to be a sponsored shooter, I don't believe that spamming works. I don't believe that commenting on Facebook and, hey, look at my gun, or have you seen these targets, or have you seen these, whatever kind of equipment. I don't think that works really well. I think that personality and performance and proving that, hey, this works better is what sells a product.
That makes sense. That's a good point. One thing you talked about is sending certificates to matches. I know there's been some interesting discussions lately about that, of like a percentage off discount. From your standpoint, what do you think on that?
Percentage. We do two types of certificates. We do a percentage off, and then we also do a free trigger job. And a free trigger job, $350 value. We tune everything, and we test fire, and we put all new components in, and then we pay for the shipping back, and so on. Those get cashed quite a bit, but not as much. When we do a certain amount of money off of a gun, $500 off a gun, $1,000 off a gun, those get cashed quite a bit. And the reason why is because they actually have value to them, and people can sell them. So if you win a $1,000 off certificate, if you sell it for $500, you made $500, and we get to make money. You get to make money. The buyer gets to save money on their gun, so everybody's happy with it. A lot of people don't like it because they actually have to make the effort to sell the certificate if it's not usable for them. I mean, for example, if they shoot a CZ or they shoot a SIG, they're not going to buy 2011, But our certificates sell really, really fast. We're very lucky with that. Somebody puts them on Enos and they can sell them, fairly quickly.
I guess that is a really good thing to actually track, though, because a lot of people, a lot of sponsors, I think, are kind of put off by the fact, like, well, if we put a certificates on the table, the people that win them aren't going to redeem them. They're just going to sell them off or whatnot. But I guess I would look at it the way you look at it, Shay, which is if it sells, then, well, shit, that means somebody has a genuine interest in that certificate if they're willing to buy it so that they can turn around and redeem it. So, yeah, I mean, it's as good as greenbacks then. I mean, you know for sure if somebody sold it, somebody else bought it, and they're going to redeem it. So
yeah,
it's got a cash value. It's got a value of some kind.
Yeah, even if it's 50% value. But if I donate a compensator and you don't shoot open, what are you going to do with the compensator?
Yeah,
right.
If I don't, and money is better than a cleaning kit.
for sure.
I'm sure you guys have stacks and stacks of cleaning kits at home.
Oh my God.
I like to give them away to friends. They're good gifts.
They make good Christmas stocking gifts.
So I'm actually glad to hear that, because you don't care that the winner of the certificate is going to make money off of it, because you're going to make money off of it. You're getting it to a customer that actually uses it. I'm actually in agreement with that, so I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, and it's much better return on investment for us because we get to promote, we get to be in the match, we get to participate, and we get to make money because it actually translates into a sale.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely good. All right, we lost Tim Herron. I think he probably accidentally clicked out or something. I have nothing else. Do you have anything you wanted to hit on, Shay?
Yeah, we do also, we build guns for matches. A match gun, and that's a tremendous avenue for marketing for us, because when we donate a gun, we don't donate just we pick one off the shelf. As we do something really special about it. We go all out. We make cuts that we've never done before. They're going to be one of a kind. We're not going to repeat them. We do some kind of special feature to them, and we get to show off. We get to show off what we're known for. The different, the innovation. So we get to promote it on Facebook quite a bit. We get to have pictures of it, and people actually want to win it. It's very expensive. It's very expensive to build a gun and donate a gun. So most of the time, we need help with that. But
So
it does work extremely well.
Sponsors to help with that. Industry partners.
Yeah. Industry partners or the match itself. Sometimes they chip in for parts and say, okay, we're going to donate the labor on the gun. You donate the parts, but sometimes we don't get that. Sometimes we basically pay for the whole thing. But it's, as far as marketing is concerned, frankly, our best marketing has been our special gun, our one-of-a-kind guns, because they get spread around quite a bit, and we get known for the innovation. And that comes back to what we talked about before about, what kind of guns sell. And, we kind of painted ourselves into a corner, making guns that are different. And that's the guns that sell. The normal guns, the run-of-the-mill guns, the mass-produced guns don't really sell very well.
Interesting. Very good conversation, I think. Tim Myers, you got anything else?
No, I'm done. It was good.
All right. If you want to get a hold of Shay, how would they get a hold of you?
Best is Facebook. Shay Kai on Facebook or our website, KaiCustomGuns.com. I have an email address, shay@acguns.com, but it's so hard to keep up with emails. It just, you work your butt off machining all day, building guns all day, and then I got to answer email. So it's usually reserved for special alone times, if you know what I mean. But that's about it.
All right, so best way to get a hold of Shay is Facebook or the website.
Yes, exactly.
Right. If you want to get a hold of Ben Steger, it's benstegger@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, it's matt@hopkinsshooting.com or hopkinsshooting.com. If you want to get a hold of Tim Myers...
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
For you guys, how's your training classes going? How are your training classes going?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something brand new for me for this year. And so it's something I have to learn. It's basically just like shooting. So you have to learn how to teach people, and then the different styles of people that are out there, they learn from different ways. So it's definitely a learning experience. I have fun at it so far, so that's good. And definitely wanted. Tim and me are going to set up some classes for next year.
I heard your classes are very good. I heard you're not the most talkative guy, but I heard you know what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm working on that. This last class we broke everybody into groups, so basically I was by myself and was forced to talk. So that was good.
I think that's awesome. I wish you guys the best of luck with that. I think it's it's a great direction, because you can never get enough classes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still learning, obviously, at this point, so...
Yeah, me too. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem. That's all I got, Tim. You can go ahead and end it. If you wanna pimp the pro shop.
Nope. Go buy some stuff anyway.
All right. All right. Thanks for being on, Shay.
Thank you, guys.